Have you experienced the miraculous prophetic revelation in your sacred 40-day night? The village lay draped in twilight, shadows dancing between the cobblestone streets, as whispers of a divine promise began to weave through the hearts of its people. Martha stood at the chapel door, the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. Samuel's illness had shaken her to the core, casting her into a night so deep that it felt as if the stars had abandoned her. Yet amid the darkness, one glimmer of hope flickered, a prophecy spoken by Pastor John, declaring that her son would be healed on the 40th night. Each evening, the village gathered in that sacred space, an old chapel with weathered stone walls that echoed with prayers. Candle flames flickered and swayed, illuminating tear-streaked faces filled with unwavering faith. As the scent of incense curled toward the heavens, Martha could feel the warmth of their love surround her, but doubt gnawed at her heart like a hungry wolf. Could prayer truly pierce the veil of despair that cloaked her own soul? Martha had always believed in miracles. She had seen the village come together in joyful celebration for countless blessings. But now, a chilling fog of uncertainty settled over her, threatening to dim the flickering lights of hope. The soft murmurs of prayer filled the air, yet those once lively tones now felt laced with desperation. Is it enough? She thought, feeling the weight of skepticism creeping into her thoughts. As days turned into weeks, Martha's world unraveled. She lost her job, her savings dwindled to nothing, and the loving community began to feel disconnected, as if the shadows of doubt were engulfing them, inching closer. Night after night, she watched the candles sputter, their waning light reflecting her growing despair. And yet, on a night like no other, the pastor's voice rang through the chapel, steady and sure. Samuel will be healed on the 40th night. If we hold fast and believe, God will move. Each passing day brought reminders of her reality: an empty pantry, unpaid bills. The clouds darkened around her, and still, Martha clung to faith with a fierce determination. Her heart ached for her son, and amid the turmoil, moments of divine peace began to envelop her. A warmth like the sun broke clear across her spirit when she concentrated on the bond she shared with Samuel, a bond she believed was forged in God's love. As the clock ticked toward the final night, tension crackled in the air of the chapel. On the 40th night, the congregation gathered, voices intertwined in fervent prayer, hearts beating as one. The atmosphere thickened, imbued with an ethereal quality that made the hairs on Martha's arms stand. A sudden rustle swept through the room, silencing the prayer. Moments passed, and then it happened: a presence flooded the chapel, enveloping them in a warmth that healed wounds unspoken. Before they could comprehend the divine movement around them, Samuel's fragile form began to show signs of vitality, stirring amidst the blankets that swathed him. Tears cascaded down Martha's cheeks. Hope flickered back to life just as doubt threatened to suppress it. But a question lingered unasked, heavy in the stillness that enveloped them. What did God truly require from them in this moment? Those gathered, hearts racing with expectation, held their breath. Had the promise been fulfilled? Would peace finally reign? Or was this merely the beginning of a greater revelation? With her heart teetering between soaring faith and trembling disbelief, Martha stood ready to embrace this profound moment. Yet, as everyone waited in hushed reverence, she felt that uncertainty, a fleeting shadow whispering at the edges of joy. What lay ahead was shrouded in divine mystery, and as they stood united, God's answer hung in the air, waiting to be unearthed. The chapel stood there, a silent witness to the unfolding miracle. Martha's heart raced, each thump echoing her hopes and fears. As she watched Samuel's fingers twitch, a spark ignited within her. Yet beneath that flicker lay an array of emotions: anticipation, apprehension, and that little voice of doubt that whispered, "What if?" The congregation stirred, faces illuminated not just by candlelight but by sheer belief. They leaned in, collectively holding their breath, as if the air itself were charged with divine electricity. Martha realized they were all waiting not just for Samuel's healing but for a revelation that perhaps only God could unveil. "Look!" A voice broke through the silence. It belonged to Rebecca, a longtime friend, whose eyes shone brighter than the flickering candles around them. "Yes, moving." Her words punctured the stillness, sending ripples through the crowd. Those gathered leaned forward with bated breath, hearts thundering, suspended in that monumental moment. Martha stepped closer, her heart hungering for the truth of the prophecy. "O Lord," she breathed, tears blurring her vision. "What do you want to show us?" The air thickened. It felt alive, crackling with potential. Samuel stirred again, and this time he opened his eyes, dilated pupils slowly focusing on the faces surrounding him. "Mama?" he whispered, his voice fragile yet serene, like a gentle breeze after a storm. Her breath caught in her throat as her name graced his lips. It was a sound she feared she might never hear again. "Martha!" Pastor John's voice rang out, strong and unwavering amidst the wave of emotion. "This is the moment we've prayed for. This is God's promise coming to fruition." The crowd erupted into a spontaneous chorus of praise, hands raised as if reaching for the very heavens themselves. But as joy washed over the chapel, Martha felt her heart tugged by something deeper. "What now, Lord?" she silently wondered. "Has this just begun?" With Samuel awake, a new journey awaited them, a path filled with uncertainties and a call to deeper faith. Pastor John stepped forward, emotions slicing through his usually steady demeanor. "God has moved mightily tonight, but perhaps he wants us all to draw closer in understanding, deeper in faith." His eyes scanned the crowd, and a new warmth enveloped the room. "Let us not forget that miracles often come with responsibilities." A collective murmur arose, leaving ripples of realization among the villagers. What would they do now with this gift? What new calling would arise from Samuel's healing? Martha felt her chest swell as multiple questions danced inside her. Each echoing thought was a reminder that this was not merely about her son's recovery. It was a call to collective action. Hearts entwined, they were a community now bound by shared purpose. But just as an exhilarating wave of inspiration washed over her, another layer of doubt crept in. Were they ready? Could they chase after a calling birthed from this miraculous moment? Felt daunting. As they stood there, enveloped in joy yet uncertain of what lay ahead, the air crackled with possibility. What awaited them down this emerging path? A beam of light broke through the chapel's stained glass window, illuminating the faces of the gathered souls. Deep within Martha's heart, the first seed of understanding began to flourish. "Lord," she breathed again, "if this is just the beginning, then help us to embrace it fully." As the voices around her rose in fervent prayer, one question loomed large above all else: what divine revelation would God bestow upon them now, in this newfound reality? Samuel's eyes scanned the faces around him, confusion giving way to understanding. The chapel, once a cradle of shadows, now pulsed with light and vibrant energy. Martha reached out, her trembling hands grasping Samuel's. A bridge forged anew. "Are you back with us, my love?" she asked, her voice choked yet laced with joy, each word dripping with gratitude. Samuel nodded slowly, a smile curling at the edges of his mouth. A small flame reignited after a long night of despair. As they embraced, the air filled with a sweet aroma of hope, enveloping them all, in essence unmistakably divine. The congregation murmured softly, voices rising and falling like the gentle waves of encouragement washing over them. Pastor John stepped closer, eyes bright with fervor. "This is more than healing. It's a sign, a wake-up call to our community. We have been blind to the love the Lord wishes to pour upon us." His voice soared through the chapel, urging hearts to awaken from their slumber. Martha felt a wave of warmth touch her soul, a whisper of purpose settling in her spirit. She was overwhelmed but unfaltering. "What now?" she murmured again, seeking clarity amongst the noise. "Now," Pastor John continued passionately, "we step forward together into God's plan. Samuel's awakening is just the beginning, the start of a ripple effect." A hush fell over the crowd, anticipation stirring the air once more. Rebecca stepped up, eyes brimming with bright tears, catching Martha's gaze. "We've prayed for miracles and they've come. Can we not move as a family now? We must share our story outside these walls. We need to reach those who've lost hope." Her words resonated, weaving through the hearts of the villagers, igniting their desire to act. They started sharing ideas, each voice a thread intertwining with another, creating a tapestry of determination. Martha remained breathless, each suggestion pulling her into a newfound vision, a vision that centered around love, service, outreach. Yes, Martha found her own voice mixing with the others. We can start by providing meals to the needy, organizing prayer vigils, visiting the sick. Her spirit surged, igniting the hearts encircled by faith and devotion. Pastor John smiled, affirmation shining in his eyes. Exactly. We are called to spread this miracle, to be doers of the word, to transform our small village into a beacon of hope and healing. The excitement bubbled like a spring on the hottest day, and voices intertwined like a chorus, each contributing ideas laced with divine inspiration. Joy mingled with resolve. They were at the cusp of something beautiful. As the night unfolded, the chapel was filled with laughter, fervent prayers, and the certainty that God's hand was guiding them forward. It was as if each soul present was a note in a grand symphony, coming together to form a beautiful song of faith. But as they breathed in the atmosphere of new beginnings, doubt cropped up in Martha's heart once again. Would they really be able to fulfill this calling? Would they manage to see it through amidst their fears and uncertainties? Lord, she whispered silently, her hands over her heart, if your plan is to push us forward, grant us the strength we need. Show us how to turn this moment into a lasting change. And just as those earnest thoughts settled in her heart, a powerful wind swept through the chapel, opening windows wide, and with it, a soft voice twinkled in the air, beckoning them to listen. What voice was that? Was it merely a draft, or could it be a gentle whisper from above? The collective anticipation hung heavy in the air as they leaned closer, waiting for the next reveal. What fresh blessing awaited them? What divine call belonged to their united hearts? The wind grew fiercer, swirling around them like a breath of divinity, filling each corner of the chapel with an electric energy. Hearts raced, eyes widened, and in that midst of chaos, a hush fell upon the crowd. They turned toward the open windows, and the flickering candle flames seemed to dance in harmonious rhythm with the breath of God. Within that sacred silence, Martha closed her eyes, breathing deeply. The divine presence enveloped her, and she could almost hear the heartbeat of faith resonating around her. It was as if time stood still, and in that moment, clarity flooded her mind. Could it be that they were all being called into a greater purpose? Let us pray together. Pastor John's voice sliced through the stillness, reverberating with authority. They dropped to their knees, not out of fear but of reverence. Each heart attuned to the rhythm of God's call, an invitation to the miraculous. Martha felt the warmth of camaraderie as hands joined together, intertwining like the roots of ancient trees. They were a family, bound by love and a shared mission. Each shout of praise and every whispered prayer became an effervescent wave crashing upon the shores of their uncertainty. Lord, Pastor John began, his voice strong yet tender, we ask for your guidance. Illuminate the way before us and unite us in purpose. Just as you revived Samuel, allow us to breathe life into those who feel they have lost hope. At that moment, a new fervor ignited within Martha. It cascaded through her being, a wild flame that consumed her doubts. She lifted her voice among the chorus of prayers. Let us not only speak of your miracles, O Lord, but let us be the vessels of your love. Lead us to those who need your touch and remind them they are never alone. With every utterance, the chapel echoed back their declarations, swelling with an energy that pulsed through the very walls. Gratitude poured out like rain upon parched ground. Martha opened her eyes, and her gaze fell upon Samuel. He stood tall, stronger than before, and in that moment, she realized that the miraculous was not just a singular event. It was a call to action, a daily adventure that required faith to step into. As the prayers subsided, a luminous glow began to envelop the congregation. It felt as if heaven had descended, filling the air with possibilities. Tonight is just the beginning, Samuel said softly, a knowing smile spreading across his face. We will gather stories of God's love and share them with every first step we take. Encouraged by the embrace of hope, Martha felt her heart pulsate with purpose. They needed to be the hands and feet of Christ, touching lives beyond their little village. As they began to share vivid ideas for outreach community meals, home visits, and aid for struggling families, Martha understood that they were igniting a fire that could not be easily extinguished. But within the rising tide of excitement, a question lingered. Was the world ready for such a wave of love? Would they embrace their healing with the same fervor they felt now? Father, she murmured silently, give us strength, reveal your plans, and let us be bold in our steps. And just as her thoughts drifted into silent prayer, a gentle rustling greeted her ears, as if something was stirring anew. She turned towards the doorway, captivated by the glow spilling in from the outside world. There was something more waiting for them, something greater. As they gathered their resolve and prepared to step out into that unknown light, the winds whispered once more, carrying a message that tingled along Martha's spine. What awaited them outside the chapel, ready to collide with their fervent faith? Was it a door into a new reality, or a deeper calling into the heart of their community? The light that spilled into the chapel was ethereal, wrapping around Martha and her fellow worshippers like a divine veil. As they rose to their feet, the intensity of the moment hung thick in the air, charged with the possibilities of what lay beyond the threshold. The wind seemed to beckon them, its voice a gentle nudge urging them to take the first step into the unknown. You feel it too, don't you? Samuel whispered to Martha, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. The world out there is in need, and we are meant to be the beacons of hope. Martha nodded, the warmth of his presence igniting a sense of courage within her. The chapel that had sheltered them felt sacred, but it was the promise outside that electrified her soul, stirring a passion for action. As they moved toward the doorway, the congregation formed a hesitant line, unsure yet excited. Would they find acceptance, or would they be met with resistance? With one swift motion, Pastor John pushed the door wide open. The night air rushed in, infused with the aroma of blooming flowers and fresh earth, a reminder of God's artistry and provision. The congregation stepped out, illuminating the darkness with their spirit. They were not just individuals, they were a movement, a body united by faith. Let us always be ready to share the love we have received, Pastor John called, his voice rising above the soft murmur of stars. For in giving we shall receive. As the group began to walk down the cobblestone path toward the heart of the village, Martha couldn't help but feel the weight of their mission. Each corner they turned revealed familiar faces, neighbors, friends, those who had grown weary in spirit. She felt her heart tug at every glance exchanged, each one painted with stories of struggle and hope. Stop here, Samuel instructed gently as they reached a small gathering of children playing near a flickering streetlight. Their laughter bounced off the cobblestones, mixing with the echoes of the chapel's fervor. The children, with their eyes wide and curious, approached cautiously, sensing something different about the night. Martha knelt before them, her heart swelling with love. Do you know that you are loved beyond measure? She asked, a smile breaking across her face. The children stared up at her, puzzled yet intrigued. Who loves us? One timid boy asked, squinting against the light. God loves you, she replied, her voice steady with conviction. And so do we. Can we tell you about the stories of hope? As she spoke, the crowd of villagers began to gather around them, forming a circle of warmth and intimacy. Martha began to share stories of miraculous transformations, moments when despair had been turned to joy and brokenness to healing. Each tale resonated like a tuning fork, sending ripples through the hearts standing close. But deep within her spirit, another feeling arose, a quiet whisper warning her not to underestimate the challenges ahead. Will they believe? She thought, her mind drifting to those who had turned away from faith. Martha, look, Samuel exclaimed, breaking her train of thought. His gaze was fixed on an older woman sitting on her porch, watching them with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. The pain etched on her face spoke volumes, a silent cry for understanding and connection. It's her, Martha said, her heart heavy with compassion. She's carrying burdens we cannot see. With a shared glance, they knew they had to approach. But would it bring the change they were hoping for, or would it end in disappointment? As they stepped closer, uncertainty danced in the air. What words would break through that wall? What could they offer that would resonate with her heart? Martha's mind raced, but she felt Samuel's reassuring presence beside her. The wind sent a chill through the air, carrying God's breath of possibility. In that sacred moment, they were reminded, to love and to act often requires daring steps into the unknown. What transformative truth would they discover as they reached out to the woman who had held so much sorrow? Would it ignite the flames of hope no one thought could burn again? As they approached the woman on the porch, the world around them faded into a hushed silence, like a sacred space where only they existed. The air grew thick with expectation. Martha's heart raced, each beat echoing the weight of their mission. She could sense God's presence, urging them forward. "Excuse us," Samuel began, his voice gentle but firm. "We're here to share hope, a hope that shines even in the darkest nights." His words hung in the air, a warm invitation wrapped in compassion. The woman looked up, her eyes clouded with skepticism and years of unspoken pain. "Hope?" she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "It's just a word. Hope is for those who have never known loss." Martha's spirit stirred. "But what if that's where hope truly begins?" she said, her voice steady despite the heaviness in the air. "What if hope is not just for the unbroken, but for those who, like you, have stood at the edge? It's in the acknowledgement of pain that we find the strength to rise." Samuel nodded, adding, "We're not here to ignore your struggle. We see you, and we want to walk alongside you. Healing can spring from heartbreak. Let us share a story with you." The woman shifted in her seat, curiosity mingling with her caution. "A story?" she asked, her tone softening just a hint. "Yes," Martha said, feeling emboldened. "A story of our friend, who once lost everything. He thought him alone, but through despair, he found a path leading him to divine grace." As Martha recounted the tale, the warm light of the street lamp flickered gently above them, as if it too held its breath. The woman listened intently, her brow furrowing and relaxing in rhythm with the story. Each word was a thread, weaving a tapestry of healing that began to drape over her weary heart. "Can you see?" Martha asked gently, her own eyes glimmering with unyielding faith. "This man found his way back to joy, not by forgetting what had been, but by embracing it. He learned to shine his light for others, just as we are called to do." A tear slipped down the woman's cheek, glistening in the evening glow. "But I don't know if I can believe again," she whispered, her voice heavy with doubt. Martha reached out, enveloping the woman's hand with her own. Her touch conveyed warmth, a promise. Belief can be fragile, but it can also be the seed from which hope grows. "You don't have to feel strong right now. Just take one step with us," Samuel added softly. "Together we can find our way back to faith, one moment at a time. Just as we're here now, and your story brings meaning to our journey." The woman's gaze shifted between Martha and Samuel, as if weighing their sincerity against her inner turmoil. And then, like a whisper carried by the evening breeze, she asked, what if I'm too far gone?" Martha's heart clenched. She could feel the weight of that question uncoil in the space between them like a profound search for light breaking through darkness. "None of us are beyond redemption. Not when love calls us back," Martha said firmly, resolutely gazing into the woman's weary eyes. The stars overhead blinked, as if affirming the truth that had settled between them. In that moment, a flicker of hope ignited in the woman's expression. But before they could explore it further, a sharp sound pierced the night, a cry mixed with urgent footsteps. "What now?" Samuel murmured, glancing around. Martha felt a jolt in her spirit. Perhaps this was yet another twist in their journey. Would the interruption cover their beginnings, or would it unveil a miraculous shift, a call for faith to act? As they turned to face the source of the sound, an overwhelming sense of anticipation gripped them. What divine encounter awaited them just beyond the quiet moments with the woman? Out of the shadows rushed a young boy, his face streaked with tears and dirt. He stumbled to a halt at the foot of the porch, panting heavily. "Help! Please, help!" he cried, desperation lacing his voice. The woman on the porch instinctively recoiled, her earlier spark of hope fading into a shroud of fear once more. Martha's compassion surged. What happened? She asked gently, her heart aching for this child in distress. They took him. They took my little brother, please. He gasped, his words tumbling out like the rapid beat of a drum. I don't know where they went. They were in a car. We were just playing outside. Samuel stepped closer, his eyes scanning the boy's face, searching for any detail that could help. We'll help you find him, he assured, his voice calm yet firm. But we need to understand what happened. Can you tell us more? As the boy recounted his tale, the atmosphere shifted. Martha felt the heaviness in the woman beside her and the boy's anguish intertwine in a vivid tapestry of shared grief. In that moment, she sensed the sacredness of their gathering deepening, a reminder of the global cries for help, all woven into the very fabric of hope. I was just there, the boy stammered, wiping his eyes with a dirty sleeve. And then they came, 2 men. They pulled him into the car. I was too scared to do anything. I didn't want them to take me too. Martha's pulse quickened as urgency filled the air. What kind of car? Do you remember anything about them? The black one. It was loud and it smelled funny. His small voice trembled, each word layered with trepidation. The woman on the porch, who had seemed lost in her own sorrow just moments before, now leaned forward, her maternal instincts surging. What did they look like? She asked quietly, her skepticism giving way to a protective urge. The boy hesitated, catching his breath. They were big and scary. I didn't know. I thought. His voice cracked. Martha sensed a connection forming between the boy and the woman. You're not alone, she whispered soothingly, reaching out to touch the woman's arm. Together, we can find courage in the midst of this fear. The woman's eyes lifted, meeting the boy's gaze. She rose to her feet, slowly, as if shedding the weight of her own burdens. We need to do something, she said, her voice stronger now, echoing a spirit of resilience. Let us pray, Samuel suggested, his tone reverent. Let us cover this whole situation in prayer, asking for guidance and protection. God can light the way even in our darkest fears. They formed a small circle. The woman, the boy, and the 2 of them joined in prayer, an offering of surrendered hearts laid before God. As they prayed, Martha felt the atmosphere shift again. A current of divine peace washed over them, washing away despair with waves of unexplainable calm. Lord, guide us. Bring light to this dark situation. Protect the innocent and lead us to safety, Samuel intoned, his words charged with faith. Martha felt the heat in her chest as faith ignited hope and clarity. After the prayer, the boy looked up, a fragile bravery blooming in his eyes. Do you really think we can find him? Yes, Martha replied firmly, we believe that love can move mountains. And yet, as they faced the uncertain night, the sudden realization struck her. What if this was not just about finding the boy's brother? What if this moment was a divine invitation? A call to bring healing to more than one heart? Just then, a car zoomed past, and instinctively, they all turned, eyes straining into the shadows. Was it the one they were looking for? Hope and fear blended in their hearts as they realized the call was more than just justice. They were being pulled closer to the miraculous, walking in faith along paths yet unknown. What would unfold next in this sacred night? Would they uncover truth and redemption? Or would fear threaten to overshadow the flickers of light that had begun to emerge? Martha took a deep breath, her heart racing as the car sped away into the night. The shadows seemed to close in around them, but she refused to let despair take root. We cannot lose hope, she whispered, glancing at Samuel and the woman. Each of their faces reflected a mix of fear and determination, an unspoken bond forming as they leaned on one another. The boy, still trembling, clutched his ragged shirt. I don't know what to do, he stammered. Let us remember that we're not alone, Samuel replied softly. God is with us in this struggle, and we must hold tight to that truth. As they stood in the soft glow of the porch light, Martha closed her eyes for a moment, seeking divine guidance. Lord, we come to you with heavy hearts. Show us the way, fill us with your mighty strength. When she opened her eyes, the boy's fearful gaze was fixed on her. How can you be so calm? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. There's power in faith, in believing that God cares for us, Martha explained gently. Even in darkness, He's working things for good. We have to trust that. Suddenly, a stillness settled upon them. The chaos of the world faded, and they felt a fragile peace envelop them. The woman spoke next, her voice steady and firm. We can spread a light in this dark place. We've already started by coming together. Yes, Samuel echoed, a glimmer of hope budding in his heart. Maybe that's our first step. Let us reach out to others. We can gather friends, family, anyone who can help in the search. Love can work miracles when we unite. The atmosphere began to shift as Martha broke into a smile, recalling stories of communities coming together in times of need. Remember how once, not far from here, a lost child was found when neighbors joined their voices in prayer? Our voices are powerful. The woman nodded, her eyes brightening. I can call the neighbors. They would surely help. Then let us not waste another moment, Samuel urged. Time is precious. As they dispersed to spread the word, Martha felt a mixture of fear and anticipation swirling within her. She could see God's hand stirring hope amongst them, like gentle wind rustling through leaves. Around her, clouds of anxiety began to lift as people began to respond to the urgency of their hearts. The boy had clung to the woman, and as they stepped off the porch into the cool night air, Martha spotted movement ahead, a flickering light illuminating the darkness. A group of lanterns was making its way toward them, a procession of determined faces united in purpose. What a sight it was! Their willingness to stand together sparked a warmth within Martha. Hope rekindled in her spirit. Look, she said excitedly. They've come. But as the figures approached, she noticed a man at the forefront whose expression stole the breath from her lungs, a look that radiated both authority and compassion. He paused before the gathering, then addressed them in a deep, soothing voice. I sensed the call for assistance. What can I do to help? Just then, a distant sound, an engine revving, echoed through the quiet night, a familiar roar tugging at the edges of Martha's memory. Could it be? With a rush of adrenaline, Martha turned her gaze toward the street, all their collective prayers swelling in her heart. Could this be the moment where faith erupts into the miraculous? As uncertainty loomed thickly, they awaited a response from the divine. Hearts poised for revelation, what would this new arrival bring to their desperate search? Would they uncover miraculous truths? Or was this just the calm before a new storm? The flickering lanterns drew closer, illuminating the worried faces that surrounded Martha. Each step vibrated with urgency and unity, like a heartbeat shared among the desperate. The man at the forefront, with eyes deep and wise, seemed to carry a weight of experience reflected in the furrow of his brow. Martha felt an inexplicable calm wash over her as he surveyed the group. Though they were on the precipice of uncertainty, the atmosphere echoed with a promise of divine action. What is it you seek? He asked, his voice wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. The boy, Martha started, her voice wavering. He is lost, we need to find him. Her heart raced, not just with concern for the boy, but also with the anticipation of something more, a whisper of hope that hinted at miracles in the making. The man nodded, understanding gleaming in his eyes. We will find him. Gathering our voices in prayer and purpose, we can dispel the darkness. He raised his lantern high, casting a warm light that flickered and danced, chasing shadows away. Let us join together and call upon his name. One by one, the neighbors stepped forward, gathering around the man, their faces brightening with determination. They formed a circle, hands clasped in solidarity. The boy squeezed the woman's hand tighter, his innocence juxtaposed with the weight of the moment. Martha positioned herself among them, her head bowed as they began to pray, their hearts lifting toward heaven like the lanterns now glowing around them. Lord of all, hear our cry. They chanted, voices intertwining like melodies on the wind. We seek your guidance. We seek your strength. With each prayer, Martha felt her spirit soar higher, the heaviness of her worries lightening. It was as if the burdens that had shackled her heart were slowly being lifted, replaced by a divine connection resonating with every soul present. In that sacred circle, the boy's trembling became less pronounced, infused with new strength that flowed in from the fervent prayers surrounding him. "Do you feel it?" the woman whispered to Martha, eyes wide and shimmering with tears. "The presence of something sacred?" "Yes," Martha answered softly, tears spilling over tears of gratitude and hope. "It's as if he is with us, guiding every word and every longing." Suddenly, the man who had come to their aid raised his voice above the hushed prayer. "Let us now reach out to the lost one. Wherever he is, let our prayers be a beacon in the night. Lord, let our faith reach him." In that moment, a profound stillness fell. The night felt alive, and if you listened closely, you could almost hear the whispers of angels in the air, dancing among their prayers. The boy, wrapped in love, squeezed the woman's hand, as a serene expression replaced his earlier fear. One by one, hearts ignited with the fire of renewal, saying words of encouragement seemed to echo off the walls of time. Martha sensed the pulse of faith surging through every individual present. They were a single body in pursuit of a miracle. But just as hope seemed to envelop them, the familiar sound from the distant road became louder. The roar of the engine grew nearer, echoing like a promise. Martha's heart raced again. Could it be someone looking for the boy? With bated breath, they turned together toward the sound. Would it lead to joy or despair? What awaited them on this path of hope? The weight of the moment hung heavy, as they stood on the brink of revelation. What lies ahead in this pursuit of the miraculous? And how would faith lead them through the night? The roar of the engine grew thunderous, reverberating through the village and stealing their breath. Hope collided head-on with fear as they faced the unknown. Samuel and Martha squeezed each other's hands tightly, hearts racing with expectation, yet trembling with uncertainty. The headlights of a car sliced through the darkness before rounding the corner, illuminating anxious faces eager to unravel the mystery. The village gathered at the crossroads, a tapestry of humanity intertwined by faith and hope. As the vehicle slowed, everyone held tight to the hope of rescue. The car came to a halt, and the driver, a young man, eyes wild with urgency, leapt out. "I came as soon as I heard." "You're looking for a boy?" Martha took a step forward, her heart bursting with anticipation. "Yes. He has been taken. Do you know something?" "I don't know him personally." But the young man hesitated, his breath quickening. "I saw something strange an hour ago. A black car was parked just off the road near the old mill. I felt something was wrong. I thought it was just a hunch, but now I'm sure it might be related." The congregation buzzed with energy, exchanging glances filled with new determination. Their prayers had been heard. "Let us go," Samuel urged, his voice igniting the gathering spirit of courage. Martha inhaled deeply, a fresh wave of hope surging within her. "Yes, together we can find him." As they piled into the vehicles, Martha felt adrenaline coursing like fire through her veins. With each passing moment, they drove deeper into the quiet riddle of the night, hearts connected by a common thread of divine purpose. Arriving at the old mill, shadows cloaked everything, whispering secrets of anxieties. The group stepped out, silencing questions as they turned all attention toward the looming structure. "Stay close together," Pastor John instructed, his voice a steady anchor. "We're walking into this darkness with the light of hope." With each step, faith propelled them forward, like arrows aimed at the heart of despair. As they approached the creaking entrance of the mill, Martha's heart pounded louder than ever. Would they uncover the truth? Would love triumph? Inside, moonlight pooled on the floor, casting haunting shapes against the stone walls. Slowly, they spread out, eyes straining to adjust. "Listen," Samuel whispered, the air crackling with expectation. Echoes of muffled cries reverberated through the shadows. Martha's heart sank. Was it the voice of a boy calling out? They rushed deeper, following the sound until it led them to a dim room tucked in the rear corner. The door creaked in protest as they swung it open, revealing a chilling sight. A small boy, his hands bound, eyes wide with fear. His cries pierced through the silence like a desperate prayer. "Hold on, we're here," the woman shouted, tears streaming as she bolted toward the boy. But as she approached, the men who had taken him emerged from the shadows, faces twisted with malice. Martha felt a surge of courage rise within her, fueled by love. "We won't let you hurt him," she cried, stepping in front of the woman, who was still gripping the boy's hands. The intruders hesitated, visibly rattled by the solidarity of the faith-filled community surrounding them. "You're making a mistake," one of the men growled, backing toward the door. "This is none of your business." But Martha, emboldened, stepped further forward. "But it is our business now. Every life matters. The love we carry is stronger than your hate." At that moment, a mighty wind blew through the mill, swirling around them like a divine embrace. Light erupted as if heaven itself descended, dawning golden hope upon the room. "In the name of Jesus, we command you to leave this boy alone," Pastor John shouted, the conviction in his voice hanging like a blazing beacon. As if consumed by the very light emanating from their hearts, the intruders faltered and retreated, fear gripping their hearts. "We don't want any trouble," one man exclaimed. "Let us get out of here." And just like that, they fled into the night, leaving behind the boy who waited for his rescue. Martha rushed forward, scooping him into her arms. Tears flowed freely, tears of triumph, of relief, her heart swelling with gratitude. "You're safe now, sweet boy," she whispered, cradling him closely. The community erupted into a chorus of joy, voices raised high in praise. "Thank you, Lord," echoed through the mill, bouncing off walls that bore witness to transformation. But as they embraced their newfound heroism, a deeper revelation settled into the hearts of those gathered. This miracle was not simply about one missing boy. It was a call to action, a reminder that they were to become vessels of love, tending to those lost in the shadows. With smiles that radiated warmth, they began to talk about what had just happened. "We need to start a program to protect children," Samuel suggested, fervor igniting within the group. "Today showed us that together, we can confront darkness." The woman nodded emphatically. "And we must lead others to the light." Martha felt the spirit of purpose wash over her again. "Let this moment inspire all of us to bear burdens together," she said. As they stepped back out into the embrace of night, stars twinkling brightly overhead, it felt as though the heavens rejoiced with them. They walked back toward the village, hearts intertwined. It wasn't just a return. It was a new beginning, a collective resolution to spread hope like wildfire. They would not just witness the miraculous but embody it through their actions and compassion. "Tonight is just the beginning," Samuel echoed, grinning from ear to ear. Martha glanced at the friends beside her, each one lit from within with faith and a commitment that would only grow stronger. As they arrived back at the chapel, the door flung wide open to welcome them. They stepped inside, embraced by the glow of candles flickering like endless stars. A new chapter awaited, one filled with love, courage, and divine purpose, united in the mission to touch lives. Martha knew, deep down, this was the manifestation of the miracle they had long prayed for. Not just in a boy's rescue, but in awakened hearts ready to shine light in every corner of their world. And as they knelt together in gratitude, they offered their lives to God, ready to be the hands and feet of love in a world that desperately needed it. This was their calling, a divine promise fulfilled, a community transformed, and hearts ignited with faith. They stood together, a family committed to creating waves of affection for those still seeking their way back. They were ready to dive into action and spread the love, as beacons of hope shone brightly in their souls now. Beloved, remember your support counts. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help our community grow. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this miraculous ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. You need to show your support, because together as true servants of God, we can change lives. Don't wait even one more second. Your participation makes all the difference.